Every so often an athlete comes along who doesn't just play the game. They completely change it. They become a symbol of their era. Today, we're diving into the story of a tennis prodigy who did exactly that, taking the world by storm with an unbelievable mix of power and passion.
So, what does it take to flip a sport on its head forever? Well, sometimes it just comes down to a single number. And for this story, that number is 17. Yeah, at an age when most of us are just trying to figure out high school, one teenager was about to make history on the world's biggest stage. That's right, in 1985, this unseeded German kid named Boris Becker shows up at Wimbledon and just does the impossible. His victory wasn't just another win, it was like an explosion that sent shockwaves through the entire sport. So let's break down how he pulled it off. We're going to tell his incredible story in 5 parts. First, we'll look at his meteoric rise. Then, we'll get into his totally unique playing style. After that, we'll relive an iconic rivalry, look at the absolute peak of his career, and finally, explore the legacy he left behind.
Okay, so let's start right where it all began, that historic win at Wimbledon in 1985. This was the moment that announced to the entire world that a powerful new force had arrived in tennis.
What made this win so legendary was just how many records he shattered all at once. At just 17, he became the youngest men's singles champion in Wimbledon history. Not only that, he was the first unseeded player ever to win the whole tournament. And, to top it all off, he was the first German man to ever lift that famous trophy. This wasn't just a win, it was a complete rewriting of the history books.
But here's the thing, it wasn't just that he won that got everyone talking. It was how he won. His aggressive, powerful style was unlike anything the pretty traditional tennis world had ever really seen before, and it quickly earned him a nickname that was just perfect. They called him Boom Boom, and for very good reason. The first boom, that was his serve, an absolute cannon, just pure power. The second boom was what came next, this fearless, all-or-nothing diving volley right at the net. I mean, he would literally launch his body across the grass court to smash a winner. It was pure athletic theater, and it was incredible to watch.
And that theatricality, that intensity, it wasn't just in his moves. It was his whole personality on the court. He was so emotional. You could see the passion, you could feel the intensity, and you could definitely see the frustration. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and that raw, unfiltered emotion made him completely captivating. Fans really connected with that fire.
Every great champion is defined by a great rival. That one person who pushes them to their absolute limits. For Boris Becker, that rival was Stefan Edberg, and their battles would go on to define an entire era of tennis.
Their rivalry hit its absolute peak at Wimbledon. For 3 straight years, the men's final was Becker versus Edberg. It was this ultimate clash of styles. And look at this back and forth. Edberg takes it in '88, Becker battles back to win in '89, and then Edberg claims the title again in 1990. This dramatic, 3-act play on center court became absolutely iconic.
So, this intense rivalry, this constant push, it drove Becker to the absolute pinnacle of the sport. Let's take a look at the incredible resume he built, the one that cemented his status as one of the all-time greats.
The numbers from his peak are just staggering. We're talking 6 Grand Slam singles titles in total. He became a 3-time champion at Wimbledon. That was his tournament. He also grabbed an Olympic gold medal in doubles in 1992. And of course, the big one, he reached that coveted #1 spot in the world rankings. It was a truly dominant career.
But Becker's impact on tennis didn't just stop when his playing career was over. His influence has continued to shape the sport for decades, long after he hung up his racket for good.
He's successfully passed his knowledge on to the next generation, most famously when he coached Novak Djokovic, guiding him to multiple Grand Slam victories. It's this fascinating link between 2 different eras of champions. And then in 2003, his place in history was officially sealed forever when he was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame.
It really is an amazing journey, from a fearless 17-year-old kid to a celebrated elder statesman of the sport. Which kind of leaves us with one last question for you to think about. Was it the shocking wins, the unique style, or the influence that lasts for decades? What do you think really makes a sports legend unforgettable?